All right, good morning, everyone. Today we are going to work on our artist research projects, and you have started with a worksheet and chosen your artist, except maybe one person. Did anybody else not choose an artist name yet? Okay, so what we're going to do first is, in a minute, I'm going to have you collect your worksheets, and then if you've chosen your artist name, you're going to pick out your book. And then a couple of you that have not chosen an artist name will look and see which books are remaining, and then you'll be able to choose a book from there. Okay, so that's first. Secondly, we're going to go through the worksheet. So after you pick them up and you picked up your book, we'll quickly go over the different points. There's 10 different points on this that you're going to do. You're going to look through the books and you're going to find out the information. I just want to talk for a minute about why do you think it might be important? Why might it be significant to do research about artists? What could you learn from that? Like, why aren't we just drawing the whole time we're in art class? Why might you do a little research? Anybody have any ideas? What do you think?
To learn like the different styles.
Excellent, to learn the different styles of art, and how might that be beneficial to you?
So you can learn.
So you can learn how to do them. So if you're doing a painting project and you've studied Claude Monet, and you think, well, maybe I'm going to try that impressionistic painting where your brush strokes go like this. Or maybe you're doing some drawing and you studied Leonardo da Vinci and he did this awesome drawing of a hand. So you might open up the book or on the internet look up one of his drawings and see how he does fine details of the hand and the veins and all that. Or maybe you want to know what Cubism is. You want to try something different and you're going to study, maybe you're going to study Picasso or a different artist and find out a different way to do artwork. Does anybody else have an idea why it might be good to study, to do research of different artists? What do you think, honey?
Just have the knowledge of them.
To have the knowledge of them. That's excellent. The more knowledge you have about art and about creating things, the more ideas will pop into your own heads. Okay. Why don't you pick up your worksheets, you'll need a pencil, and collect your book, please. And I'm just going to go check on the student in the back. Did you finish your project? So it's on that. So which did you take it on this? Okay, I'll hold it here for your worksheet, okay? I'll get you both. All right, did everybody find their books? Get your book, please.
I don't even know what I Should I just pick like a random book?
And we do have one birthday today. Okay. Did everyone find their books?
Yep.
Okay. You can pick any of these that are on the shelf. There's still a lot of excellent choices. All right, so what we're going to do now is quickly review the worksheet. We're going to review the worksheet just as a general checklist, and then you will go forward with your own worksheets. Okay, questions? Right, so I'll go over that, but that's a very good question. The very first, you ready? All right, good. Oh, that's good, so keep that in there. A few people have put information inside the books. Maybe you did research in another class or at a different time. So you may find little notes in there about the actual birthday or death date or some of the questions that you have on these worksheets. All right. All of you now have your name on top, and you have the artist's name printed on the first line. And you need the first and last name if you have it. If it's not on the first page of the book, if it's not on the title on the cover of the book, it's going to be within the book. All right, let's just go through the worksheet together, and then you're going to go forward on your own. I highly recommend that you read these books first. And they're not long. I know you've looked at them before. They have some information, facts. They have lots of artwork. They do have some little cartoons in there, which are great. So there's a little bit more information than just a boring story about a person who did artwork. These are really nice books that tell some interesting facts about the artists, and they do show some great pictures of some of the artwork. Like I said, there's little anecdotes in there too. There's little comics that have some interesting facts. All right, number one, birth date. It may not have the actual date. It may not say March 12th. All right, it may just have the year. So if your artist was born in 1658, that's what you can write, if that's what it says. Number two, hometown. Where was the artist born? If it doesn't say where the artist was born, it probably says where the artist grew up. And it probably has a city. Remember, you capitalize cities, put a comma, then put, if it's in the United States, you have a state, you put a comma if it has a country. So if the artist was born in Syracuse, New York, you'd write that. If the artist was born in Paris, you'd say Paris, comma, France. Okay? Art style. Number three, what style of art does the artist do? It may have changed. So look at the pictures and then you're going to read the book. So maybe more towards the back of the book, it might tell you that Picasso, in the beginning, Picasso did drawings, but then, as a child, perhaps did drawings and just artwork like you guys do, and then as an adult, he developed his own style of art, and that would be in the back of the book, or towards the back. So you're going to write that style. And that would include things like Impressionism, Realism, Cubism. There's going to be probably an ism at the end of that work. That's just a helpful hint. Number four, favorite materials. How do you think you could find out what the artist's favorite materials were? Just in general by looking through the book. All right, look at a picture. Look at a picture that has a photograph of the artist's work. Whether it's a picture of a painting or a picture of a drawing. And then look at the little caption that's really in the small font, small print. What does it say in there? Can somebody read to me what it says? Okay, go ahead. The long leg.
1935, oil on canvas, 20 by 30 and 1/4 inches. The Virginia Steele Scott Collection, Henry E. Huntington Library and Art.
Excellent. Did everybody find something that reads more or less the title of the painting, The Long Leg, a date, 1935, oil on canvas? What's oil on canvas mean? What do you think? What does it mean?
Oil painting.
It's an oil painting. And what does canvas mean? It's what they painted on. Exactly. Canvas is a type of material you can paint on. You could also paint on board. It might say wood, paper. There's other materials that you could paint on. But you guys know that because you've done it. This one then says 20 by 30 and 1/4 inches. What does that mean? What do you think? How big it is. So it says right in the book how big it is. Because we're looking at pictures that are this little, right? We're looking at this little. And some of those paintings are going to be huge. And some might actually be little. But when we're looking at it, we think all the pictures are going to be small, but the paintings might be really big. So that says the size. And then what's that information that's underneath? The Virginia Steele Scott Collection, Henry E. Huntington Library and Art Gallery. What do you think that means? There's two different components. What do you think? Where they were shown. So it lists the gallery name. So it says Henry E. Huntington Library and Art Gallery. So that's where the painting is. And then in this case, there's a first name. It says Virginia Steele. What does it say? The Virginia Steele Scott Collection. that's the person that either donated it or actually owns the painting. So a lot of information in there. So now back to our question, favorite materials? What would we say for Edward Hopper, who has the oil on canvas? What do you think Edward Hopper's favorite materials are? What would you think?
Oil paints.
Oil paints, oil on canvas, perfect. And you might want to look, there might be a few. If you're studying Da Vinci or Michelangelo, they probably have a couple different materials that you could use. Because some artists do drawings, some do drawings and paintings, some do drawings, paintings, and sculptures. So there's a couple different choices. Yes, Henry?
My notes say that it's
And who's your artist?
Monet.
He probably does all the same. So it's probably oil. Yeah, oil canvas. Number 5, when were they famous? When were they famous? Were they famous the day they were born?
No.
Probably not. So you're going to look and see maybe when they had what? What would be an indicator of a date that an artist was famous? What do you think? How would you know? There might be something in the book that tells what? Yes?
Well, it says that he loved her when he was younger, and then if you keep going, it said for mine that, it says that he liked to paint and stuff, and he said every day he spent in his room, and as you go on, it will tell you where or how.
Okay, so what Hannah's telling us is that this artist, Edward Hopper, loved to do artwork when he was little, and within that book it tells that he did drawing and painting in his room. But was he famous at that point? Probably not. It's going to say later in the book, maybe if he had particular art shows, or if somebody talked about his work, or it might have dates when those paintings were hung. So look for dates within the artwork itself, or when somebody wrote about the artwork. What happens if your artwork isn't noticed until after you die? What would you write then? When were they famous?
After that.
Okay, you can write that after death, yep. Number 6, where do they learn or study art? So you're going to look for what? What would you look for in the book? What do you think? Yes? Excellent, schools or colleges. And how else do artists learn how to do artwork? Some artists. If you don't go to school to learn it, where might you learn it? What do you think? Yes. At home. Okay, perfect. You might learn on their own, perfect. Number 7, what was their childhood or family life like? Again, you're just going to have to read it, and that's going to be in the beginning. You can talk about their relatives, or you can talk about, as in Edward Hopper's instance, like Hannah said, what they like to do as a child, what kind of artwork they like to do. Number 8, death date. Probably at the end of the book, but you're going to read through the book so you'll find it. Number 9, fun fact. I don't know if anyone here, is anybody here studying Grandma Moses? Okay, so Grandma Moses lived to be well into her 90s, and she was still doing art when she was quite elderly. And she didn't start painting until I think she was 78. Imagine that. She started her art career when she was in her late 70s. So that's a fun fact. Something like that you can write about. Okay? Number 10, famous artworks. Where are you going to find famous artworks? We don't have time to go to a museum today. Where are you going to find the famous artworks? Yes?
In the book.
In the book. And it's going to be listed where? Where might you find titles for their artwork? Maybe on the front page, or yes? In the caption under the paintings, under the illustrations. Perfect. Okay, does anybody have any questions now? Great. All right, so you'll start working on your artist research, and what will happen is you're going to hopefully finish these today, and then next time you are going to work on a collage based on your research and based on your artist's artwork. Okay? Yes, Em? Excellent. Okay, so what if, Hannah just said, it just says how old her artist lived to be. So what if you know the day or the year the artist was born? What would you do? Yes, Em?
You would take the year that they were born and add how old they were.
Perfect. Okay, so you might have to do a little math.
Um,
And remember, just one quick thing, these worksheets are going to be collected, and then we are going to use these actual sheets, so make them nice and tidy, when we collect your collages and then make the books. Remember, the class is going to have a book at the end. So make sure you keep this worksheet nice and tidy. Okay. You had a question, Annie? Or you're good?
I can't, it only gave the year when he was born, not the date.
No, that's fine. Yep, we said you can just do the year.
I found this in my book and I was in that.
Oh, good, you can write that, maybe put a note on that, keep that in, that's good, very good. So some of the artists, it's just different times, especially those that were like 15th or 16th century, they maybe didn't record when people were born. They might not have had a note, or just maybe the author didn't put it in the book. So you might not know the actual day, like we said. We didn't know that it was maybe March 12th that artist was born. Oh, interesting.
The same day that he was born.
You had the same.
The same day, but different year.
Whoa.
Yeah. Oh, so it doesn't say? Oh, but you found that?
Yeah.
Perfect.
He died on his
Oh, he died on his birthday, that's, yeah.
birthday.
Okay. Good, you guys are making great progress. Back here. How you doing, honey? He's got some interesting things he says here. Where was he from? Once in a while. From in Mexico, right? Okay, you can write Mexico next to that. Remington. Look at it, he was from New York. I'm not sure where that town is, we'll have to look that up. Yeah, we'll have to look that up. I don't know if that's in New York. Yes, good.
Wait,
Oh, nice. So he studied under, you can write that, he studied under Robert Henry in New York City. That would be fun. Do you guys know what the term is if you study under somebody? Maybe not like at a school, but like you take private lessons with someone. Do you know what that's called?
Like an apprentice.
Like an apprentice, perfect. A lot of times these artists worked as apprentices and they worked under an artist and maybe
Yeah, that's what Leonardo da Vinci.
that's what Leonardo did, perfect. So you guys know that might be one of the ways that they learned, so you might have to write that in. It says, where did they learn or study art? And it might say who they studied under, and they might have been an apprentice. Yeah. Is that what you want to write? Oh, no, you found something. Oh, you found a fun fact, yes.
I can't see exactly what
It just says like people in Paris.
Okay, that's fine, yeah. Those are, right, those are, that's it. Okay, good. Alright. And that one.
Did Leonardo da Vinci make portraits?
Mhm.
Okay. So, question.
Is that, what's that word? Let's look up that, and then finish those two sentences, and then yes. That doesn't sound familiar, that title. It is. I wonder if that's how they said copper. You know what I mean? It might be. But it's also in Italian, and they've translated it, so. That's right. Did you have your, not to rush it, but did you have already started your, the shoe?
Yeah.
And what did you think?
I felt the way that the lesson for second grade.
Oh, yeah.
Half of for second, third, and half for
Yes, yes.
It says his first thing for but it doesn't say when.
All right, he sold his first painting at a famous art exhibition in New York called the Armory Show. He named the painting Stanley, and he got $250 for it. So, it was around, yeah, yeah. So that would work, right? So starting in 19. So, oh, Michelangelo? So he went to many schools, is that what you found? All right, so, yeah, what did that say? He said he learned a lot on his own. Yeah, I would say on his own and Gerlon. Oh, yeah. Okay, so you can write all, you can probably write all three of those in the slide. Did you finish it?
We're back to 18.
And you finished? Okay.
18.
Good. All right, you can finish. Did you start with the science lesson? Okay, good. You kind of have to. Very good. That looks great. Do you want to erase that? It's going to go in the book. You want to look at it?
I'm writing my 3 basics.
Let's see if we can, do we have any blanks? So we used markers on that if you want. Just use markers. And then you can draw right on there and cut it out if you want. You can use colored pencils if you want.
I'm picking my 3 favorite ones.
Did you finish any? Okay, so you're doing Mary Cassandra. Okay. When was she famous? So she, what did you find out about her? Where was she from?
It was his first thing.
Perfect, so she was from Pennsylvania. And then where did she study? Okay. And her style, let's see if it has. Did she go to France? Okay. So her style, if you look here, this was some artist that she saw when she was in France. And do you recognize that? Impressionist? Okay. So she worked in the style of Claude Monet, Camille Pissarro, Auguste Renoir, and she loved Edgar Degas. And so those were impressionists, so you could write that. That's her choice, because she loved them, and it says it right on the picture. When was she famous? So these paintings are what date do you think? Oh, that's a hers. These are hers. Let's find them. There's a hers. Okay, here we go. Where's the other one? So you could write like the late 1800s or 1890s. You could write that early 1900s. Oh yeah, so double check and make sure that those were her paintings. Okay, Ella just had a good point. Some of the pictures in the book are done by other artists because the author compared the artist that you're studying to other artists. So there might be paintings or drawings or sculptures that they didn't make. So just make sure that the pictures that you list as your famous artworks are actually done by the artist that you're studying.
How do you know if they are?
Okay. It'll say, yeah, in the caption, it'll say, you know, like if, in this instance, Mary Cassatt studied Monet's paintings. So there is a painting done by Monet on one of the pages. And then it said she loved Degas. So there's another painting by Degas. Those aren't hers. So we just want to make sure that the examples you use are the ones painted by or drawn by your artist. Okay, so did you get, all right, Alexander? Oh, so yours isn't, he didn't do paintings, did he? What did he do?
He sculpted sculptures. There are things called mobiles.
You write it, you got it right.
One more.
What was the other word they used?
Stables.
Oh, neat. So those are huge, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, you chose a great artist. Okay. So, when did he die? Okay. And he was from Pennsylvania. All right. So, favorite materials. What is that? What's that first word? Oh, wire. Wire, wood, metal. Yeah, nice. Very good. 20th century perfect. What was that saying?
Artists were all the time. So, how they made the sculpture.
Oh, that's how he learned.
Long day, grandpa, and all of mom and dad's friends were all artists.
Imagine that. So he lived in a whole environment. He grew up with all those artists. Okay. And then, that's good. Front back. Oh, you did? Okay. I didn't know that. So you got those. All right, so you're good. Good looking. So did you get a worksheet to do a secret design?
Yes.
Okay, so if you hadn't, did you finish that?
Yes.
Are you finished that? All right, you can free draw for a few minutes then. Good. Finish everything?
What time is it?
This is a good fact. Oh, I didn't know he lived with the stone cutters. That's very good. So Michelangelo.
He joked about how
Because he learned it from when he was a baby, or something sometime around there. Awesome. Good. I love that you have all been finding really interesting facts about your artists. That's it. Yeah, so this is. All right.
When I told you we were on fire,
Oh, he studied the military now? You like to play nice. He did his artwork in a rocking chair? How did they describe that?
He got very overweight.
Oh. Okay. Is that screwed? Good plan. Did you start a sneaker drawing? And did you finish it? Oh, you did, okay, so you want to read over again? Very good. Can you what? If he's finished, let me just double check if he's finished.
I finished.
All right, let me pick up Isaac's paper and then I'll look. So you're all set?
Yeah.
Okay, would you hand me your book, please? And did you get a sneaker? Okay. You can get it. We need a couple more blanks. Happy right with this one? All right, here's a choice. You can do the on top of the right one. All right, what was your, all right, when was he famous? He was famous for most of his life, and how long did he live? You got it? That's a long time, right? Do you know how many years that is?
What?
Yeah, you heard it.
Look.
So that's the cleanup bell, but we are not very messy today, so we can work for a few more minutes, okay? Anyways, he lived to be 92. So he was famous a very long time. So you know what you could write? Do you know what, like he would have been 19 like in the year 1900, right? So you could write the 20th century, all the 1900s he was famous. And he's still famous, right? Because you recognize some of his paintings. Do you want to write that? Because he started early, look, 1932.
Yeah, didn't he like recently die?
1903. He died in the 70s, but yes, yeah.
I thought he was like,
Yours did, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh?
So remember when I teach that?
Oh, so you would show up with a fun back.
So I could.
Great, and then you'd be done.
It's only. Yeah. You don't have to. I still don't want to. Okay, good. I was a stupid person and I've grown up.
All right, so one more minute, try to finish up, and please put your books back on the shelf. Can you hand me the worksheets?
You stopped my stopwatch, that was my compliment. Mason, you stopped my stopwatch, that was my compliment. Dude, I had my stopwatch for 9,000. I had mine for 14,000. And then Aiden just turned it.
Yes,
Aiden
but
subs every time.
little cart,
Aiden subs
please.
every time I see him. Like, here, I'm not gonna.
You didn't quite finish. So you'll finish next time, okay? All right, let me see your worksheet. Put your book back, please. All right, so what I'm going to ask on the way out is if you would just tell me, I'd love for you to tell me the style of artwork, but if you can't remember, tell me where your artist was from. All right, so we're just going to quick go around the room and you're going to quick tell me the name of your artist and either where the artist was from or the style of artwork if you remember. Okay, where's our record girl? What was the name of your artist?
Mark.
Chagall. Mark Chagall, and what kind of artwork did he do? Or where was he from?
He was
From Russia? Okay. All right. Who was your artist?
Oh, yeah.
Edward Hopper. And where was he from or what kind of artwork did he do? He was from New York. Excellent. Do you remember his name?
No, you guys are my top rating.
He did oil too. That's good. He did sort of realistic paintings. Okay, who's your artist? Dan Go. Where did he live?
Holland.
In Holland, excellent. Do you know what kind of artwork you did? You're still studying it. All right, and what did you, whose artist did you study?
What?
Raphael,
Honey's ready to get
and he was from Italy.
Wait, no, you're not her brother.
And he did realistic pictures, paintings, okay?
Claude Monet.
Claude Monet. Impressionism, perfect. Go ahead. Mary Cassatt. She was from Pennsylvania. Very good. Frederick Remington did the American West paintings, right? Did he do sculptures too, or just paintings? Bronze sculptures, perfect. Okay, who was your artist?
Alexander.
Who was it?
Alexander.
Oh, Alexander, yes. And did sculptures, nice. And who's your artist? Michelangelo, and where was he from, or what did he do?
From Italy, he made realistic.
He was from Italy and did realistic sculptures. And your artist? Picasso, and where is he from, or where did he do? Oh, he was from Spain. Picasso's from Spain. What kind of art did he do? Cubism, perfect. Had you Da Vinci about No, you didn't. Yeah, you did Leonardo da Vinci. Okay. And where is Leonardo from? He did portraits?
It starts with an F. Fancy.
Florence. Right, he was from Italy.
Well,
Is it Florence? Okay, so you found the town he was from. Perfect, so he was from Italy, and he did more than portraits, but that's good, he definitely did some portraits. Who was your artist? What's your artist's name? Either of you? Yep.
Mine's Mango.
Mango, who was your artist?
Diego Rivera.
Diego Rivera, beautiful, thank you everybody, great job today.